Welcome back, everybody, to episode 7 of Draft Day Sports College Football 26 UAB Blazers, the beginning, first season. And today we are actually playing a conference game at Marshall. We are 2-4, Marshall's 2-4. Marshall is actually favored by 6.5 points. And I kind of like our matchup. We're going to see how this works out. They do have a dual threat quarterback, Tavares Samuels. Was injured a little bit earlier in the season, so their leading passer as far as passing has been their quarterback, Corey Hart. He's a lot less of a running quarterback, more of a passing quarterback. I know with Tavares Samuels in there, it does appear that they are first and foremost a running type offense. So with that said, I think looking at kind of where we are, on our preview here, we're showing a few injuries. I have Eric Mays, my strong safety, is probable. He will be playing. Roderick Trotter, a cornerback, he will be playing. Keaton Bedford, probably more limited, but I'm still going to be primarily in the run package, starting Bedford, maybe in the pass package, bringing in, Justin Williams. The one guy that I have from a starting perspective is Maxwell Neal, basically my inside middle linebacker. He's still got a deep thigh bruise and is questionable with those ratings reductions. I'm probably going to keep him out. I've got him kind of out of the depth chart at the moment. Going on their side, they have a couple guys. Corey Edmondson is one of their strong receivers. He's probable. Expect him to be playing. Chris Bowers, probably their best linebacker. Stress fracture in his foot. Maybe that was early on in the season. He's kind of getting around to where he's playing. Hit or miss whether they play him or not with that. But if he's probable, I suspect they probably will. Mario Harvey, one of their guards, is doubtful. Probably won't play, but he's not really. I don't think he really looks significantly like he's great. I mean, from a run blocking perspective, he fits in their piece really well, which they seems to be what they predominantly do anyway. But with him doubtful, I don't know that he will be playing. Donathan Robinson is out, so he's probably their top secondary guy. Definitely, the strong safety that they have. He's not going to be playing. Where he started off 5 games up to this point, and he's done okay. I mean, his numbers really don't stand out great, but I mean, 24 tackles, 5 games. I guess if you look. Well, I guess he got hurt his first game, and they played him very sparingly in the second and third. But did it show that he started? Yeah, it did show that he started. That's interesting. That started his 4th game. He missed Liberty. Okay, so they've played 6 games. So he's missed Liberty altogether. So I guess he got hurt in West Virginia, missed that game, and then came back. So he started, missed, started. So he probably got knocked out early in the West Virginia. Had a great game against Southern Methodist, SMU. So he's not playing today. So that's, for us, that's probably a really good thing. And then they're starting tight end Casey Whitehead. Looks like he's out with a sprained knee. Don't expect him to be playing. And he looks like he's a pretty decent tight end overall for our conference and for what we're going up against. So with that said, I think ultimately, what I want to do maybe this episode is try not keep it too long. But I'm going to go through and play this game. So we're up to the point where we've set everything. We've got our game plan. All of our recruiting stuff is in place. I think from the last episode, we kind of ended with all of that. I will kind of run back through maybe some of the game planning and a couple things, and maybe some of the depth chart stuff. and then we'll jump into the game. And I think on this one, what I might do is I may actually show the game starting out. We'll do the kickoff. Probably do maybe in one or two offensive series, one or two defensive series, depending on how quick they are, how they play out. Go through, maybe pause it, continue to play the game on my side, jump back in with a halftime review, and then kind of maybe get into the fourth quarter or something, jump back in. I just don't want it to be too long of an episode. But I do want to maybe get some play calling in and stuff like that. So, and then after that, once the game ends, what we'll do is we'll finish out the week. So we'll go through and show the games and do the sims on the top 25 and maybe the Conference USA piece, and then sim it going back and looking at the results and see if there's any upsets, anything major, what's happening, review the top 25, maybe some standings, jump into the stats and look at those. And then last but not least, we'll go in and look and see maybe, with advancing the week, did we get any commits? Did any people on our board from our target list and people that we've been kind of watching, did they commit anywhere else? And then go through maybe, when the smoke clears and we kind of see what we might have had committed, what we might have lost, and then start kind of drilling down and seeing what we still need to do, as far as like maybe shortening our board a little bit, and then maybe going back to a focus of targeting, based off what's been committed, what maybe is gone from our board. Maybe we have to pull some new people in. Maybe we end up starting shifting. If I get, like, say I lose Orton, the big tight end I'm going after, if he commits somewhere else and he doesn't go with us, then I have to shift that going to another tight end. It's going to be one that's on our board. So I think ultimately, if we lost Riggs, I still have an offer out to Bird. If Orton goes away from a tight end perspective, I'm probably going to go after Curtis. So, based on that, we'll just kind of look through some of that, and then we'll kind of end it there. And, maybe episode 8 picks it back up to where we kind of go back through, because I would like to kind of spend a little more time. I don't think I've really spent a lot of time going through the talking points and different things like that. And then kind of going through the board and shifting things around and showing, how I'm, maybe deciding to say, okay, I'm going to contact this guy, I'm going to phone this guy, these are the ones I want to pick there. So, maybe the start of the next episode, we kind of go through some of that, maybe a little bit more in detail from that piece. But, with that said, so let's kind of get back here. So we're game day. We are in Marshall. So we're in West Virginia at Marshall. Conference game. We're currently sitting 2-4. We're 1-2 in the conference. I think we're matching Marshall, pretty much the same. And they are 6.5-point favorites at home, and they run the ball. So I will say, East Carolina, we played them earlier in the season, and the one game that East Carolina won, they're sitting 1-5. The one game that they won, they absolutely smoked Marshall. And they did that by passing for over 500 yards. And East Carolina's been eaten alive on the defensive side, from the nickel dime packages and going back and looking through some history and kind of seeing how people have really focused on their passing game and kind of shut it down, and it's pretty much shut their offense down. Marshall didn't decide to do that. They played very, very little what seemed to be, pass defense first. I think they focused on the run. I don't know why. I don't know what they did really, but at any rate, they got smoked. East Carolina brought our quarterback through for over 500 yards on them and ate them alive. And so I think with that, nothing's really changed when I went back through some of the other games. Offensively, they definitely are a different team with Tavares Samuels at quarterback versus Corey Hart at quarterback. Corey Hart, they still are a predominantly running team, but they definitely pass a little bit more, and I think they're a little bit more dangerous from the passing side with Hart. But I think Tavares is their guy. That's the guy they're going with. He's very much a Kenny Wilborn type quarterback. I think he's better than Marcus Childs, who we faced at JSU when we had to face that dual threat. So I feel a little bit more reserved in the fact that I've got to really approach this game much more like I did against JSU and not really with Troy, because Troy I was aggressive at Troy. I didn't really contain. I looked at the pass. There were several things I think I did wrong there that I feel like I did better against JSU. Now, granted, Marcus Childs wasn't Kenny Wilborn. He wasn't as good of a quarterback as Kenny Wilborn. But I was able to tone that one down a lot better. If you go back through and kind of look at the strategies, and I look at the game plans, I go back to and look at my Troy game plan. I was aggressive and balanced. I played a mixed coverage, which nothing wrong with that necessarily. Defensive line roll, run support, nothing wrong with that. My defensive line just did not match up against the offensive line of Troy very well, particularly their tackles. My outside, when that quarterback got outside with their tackles against my ends, I had no contain. I had nothing, and they killed me. Linebacker role, I still kind of played mixed, but it wasn't really good. And I think the thing that really probably bit me more than anything maybe was trying to play aggressively, where they maybe caught me where I was over pursuing in some areas, and particularly if they were dropping back in a pass, I over pursue with Kenny Wilborn. He gets outside with those tackles, gets up, down the line, and of course, day's over. He ran 200 yards on me, and I think that really had a lot to do with it. Was that trying to be aggressive with those guys? When I went into JSU, I did a little different. I played conservative, definitely played a run focus on the game plan. Where with Troy, I was more balanced. I wasn't sure what they were kind of going to do, and I didn't gamble, which I probably should have, but I didn't. With JSU, I definitely ran more conservative, tried to keep contained, and let the play come to us and develop, and see if maybe that was something that might have been happening. Focused on the run, played zone where I wasn't playing a lot of man, where my guys would get their backs turned and kind of open up maybe the outside or middle to where they weren't seeing kind of what was happening. So I felt like if I was in conservative run and zone, that they were looking forward and kind of keeping everything in front of them, without trying to chase people down. Defensive line, I played run support. Linebacker, I still went with a mixed. I just kind of felt like I still needed to kind of have them kind of watching for the passing game a little bit too. What I'm going to do on this one, because these three teams are pretty damn similar. At least it feels like they are. And really, Marshall feels a lot more like Troy than they do JSU, just from their talent, which kind of concerns me a little bit. But we're going to go basically. We're going to play conservative run. Our primary coverage, I think I'm going to keep mixed. I'm really tossed on that, because I'm really thinking, should I go zone? Should I play mixed? And I think in the game plan when I'm play calling, maybe I can control that a little bit myself. If I feel like they're running too much or whatever, I can call more zone coverage, and I'm going to play it that way. That way, it kind of gives me the flexibility of sitting there thinking, okay, maybe I can work both sides of the fence on this, and we'll try that and see. From the defensive line and linebackers role, I'm definitely going to go all in on the run. I'm going to have my front seven basically front eight, possibly even, depending on what I'm playing, just really selling out for the run and seeing what they're going to do. If Samuels is in there, he's not really thrown extremely well, I guess. We hadn't had to, but he hadn't really thrown extremely well. But I figure if they're going to beat me, I'm going to try and make them beat me with him passing, and they may. I don't know, but we'll kind of find out. I'm going to keep Hannaford on the radio. I'm definitely going to match my DBs to the receivers. Lining man coverage as well. One other thing I did too, because I really felt like this one really started getting to me, particularly in the last game. I think I just got really, I just felt like I got really winded in the second half, and it was one game that really the other team significantly was kind of beating me more in time of possession. So my defense was on the field a lot more than what they had been in previous. Not a lot more, but I mean considerably more than what they had been in previous games. And I kind of still had that sitting at that 60-85, just basically the energy level. I had that just at the default 60-85. And I know the second half, when I really started just getting drilled and just nothing seemed to work and I couldn't get off the field, I kind of jumped into the lineups and I started looking at those energy levels. And I had guys in there on my defensive line that were 68 and still on the field. And I'm like, I can't do that. I think, if you've got an overall rated guy at defensive tackle, for example, and say he's an 80, and you've got his backup is, say, a 75. If I keep my 80 guy in there and he's down to like a 68 energy level, maybe he's only worthy of being a, not even the 75 guy. And so maybe it's a matter of pulling him out, putting the 75 guy in there who's probably better served to play maybe a set of downs or a few plays until the level gets back up to 80. Now, I did reduce coming back in at the 80 because I don't want to leave them out too long. Give them rest. If they jump out at, they hit 69, they get out of the game, they come to the sidelines, play 3 or 4 plays, get them back up to 80, bring them back in. They're probably going to be good for another 4, 5, 6 plays, before they get back down to that level. I think it might just actually rotate me in and out a little bit better, and I really feel like I need that probably on my defensive line more so than and maybe even linebackers, but more so than anything. The one thing about it, I think my secondary is not great, but as we go through the season, I'm kind of sitting there looking at it and I'm thinking, well, maybe my secondary is maybe one of my stronger units. Maybe they're not quite as talented, but they seem to be able to not be affected by a lot of other things. I think my defensive line is significantly bad. Well, particularly if I have a team that's just really just drilling me on the run, and they're winning the line of scrimmage and they're winning time of possession. I think they're just beating the crap out of me on the line. And I really don't have a good line. Particularly, I've got a better inside than I do on the outside. I've really got to beef up my ends a little bit. Especially with some speed, I think, to kind of help counter some of this stuff. But so that's where we are kind of on the game plan. The play analysis I've went through, and I kind of have my sheet built out, things I want to look at as far as kind of, their tendencies. Nothing really jumps out really, really hard. What they tend to do on some of their tendencies as far as what they kind of do on their formations, at least anyway. I know when they're in a shotgun 4 wide receiver, they're all pass, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's a lot of teams that way. The spread is a little bit interesting because from a spread perspective, they tend to they predominantly run for sure. They have very little pass plays that they set out of that. I think typically if they're in the spread, they run RPO and try and pass from that. So I look at those 20 plays and think that, maybe most of those are trying to be maybe more pass-oriented RPO plays. But even if that's the case, it's still a 3-4-1 or 3-to-1 ratio there, where 75% of the time they're still trying to run out of the spread. So empty backfield, 5 wide receiver, definitely a passing side. They're kind of the same with the spread on the 2 tight end set, and then the 2 tight end jumbo is just definitely run. That's all they've done pretty much out of that. They haven't done it a lot, so the thing that they're really running the most out of is their shotgun and spread, which I would expect, especially with a dual threat quarterback. That seems to be the thing that they're gonna do. The one thing I'll look at is I'll expect the run probably a lot more out of the spread. And I'll expect the pass probably a lot more out of the shotgun, even though it shows that we're kind of basically at a 55-56 split. I think ultimately if they're going to run, they're definitely going to try and do it out of the spread. If they're going to pass, maybe out of the shotgun. Just kind of a hunch. But we'll look at that and kind of play it that way. And that's at least from that. But I'm not going to bank everything just strictly on that. We'll just kind of see how the game plays out. So ultimately, with that said, I think, let's see. I think, is there anything else to cover before we kind of really jump into the game? But I think we want to kind of get there, and I'm going to pause you guys for a minute, get this thing ready, and then we'll get to the kickoff. All right, we are unpausing and ready to jump into this game. One thing I did notice is, I run, the great logo package and stuff that they produce for this, and all that's really, really amazing. I shifted my teams around to different conferences and stuff, so I either need to take the fields and go in. It doesn't bother me that much, but this is showing Marshall obviously in their current real life conference with the SBC Sunbelt. I put them back into the Conference USA with me. Maybe I'll go back through and update that, but at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. All right, so we are ready to jump into this thing. So we're about 20 minutes into the episode, and we're going to run through and see where we go from here. I'm not sure. I am not winning any tosses on the start of this game. It's it's kind of crazy, but I always felt like, I always heard somebody say that, when you call the toss, always calls tells you'll always win. And I have done that this year, where I've won the toss like maybe out of the first 6 games, I've won the toss like maybe 4 times. And I've called tails every time, and I've lost every single time. But let's see what happens here. I want to call tails. If I lose again, I'm not going to do it again. And Marshall I'm not doing it anymore. So they are going to defer to the second half, so that means I get the ball first. And let's go ahead and let's get this party started and see what we're able to do here. All right, here we go. Got normal speed on this. I typically run it slow when I'm playing without recording. I think it's the OBS that I'm running that maybe he's eating up some resources or something. It seems to run a little bit more sluggish, so I just run my game speed up to normal on that and see what happens. So, all right, so Ochoa kicked it through the end zone, so we're going to come out on the 25. And this time, I'm going to jump out here. So on my passing side, I'm actually going to be a little bit more pass minded, I think, ultimately. I want to run the RPO here, but I'm going to pass short over the middle and just kind of see. But I want to do it I want to do it in pro set though. So I'm not going to do, maybe I'll just do my pass package. Middle, see if I get something. I'm not even getting pro set out of that. Hold on, something's not right there. Maybe it's that middle. Let's do more balance and get pro set. I don't even have pro set there. Seriously? Gotta go outside for pro set on a short. That's interesting. I'm gonna see if I can get something to Bedford here first. Go running back post, but he checks to the outside, so I've got looks like my tight end that goes out. Receiver kind of comes in. I've got one that does a curl, but he should be looking for the running back over the middle. Let's see if I get something in the middle there. And he's going outside, and it's incomplete. That was 82. Okay, I cannot do that. I've got to get some yards. Good Lord. Let's go inside, though. I'm not going to go outside on this right now. I'm going to run shotgun, go inside, and I'm going to see if I can get see how they're playing me. I'm going to try and see. Maybe a counter will tell me if they're playing me aggressive or conservative. Balance won't really show much, but if they're playing me aggressive, maybe this will play well. If they're playing me conservative, maybe they end up kind of getting me at the line. But let's see if I can fish something here. And this is pistol. I don't really care too much for the pistol. That's my only counter. I want to go shotgun inside, so I'm gonna do that. Let's see what I get here. And he counters early, gets 3. That's not telling me a lot. Okay. We're gonna go RPO, and I'm gonna do RPO shotgun. Let's see here. Okay, and he gives it to where? Ah, man, 3 and out. That's not what I wanted. Not what I wanted. And my superstition has me do this every single time. I just have to call my own pump play. I don't want the computer doing it. Oh, 3 and out. That sucks. Okay. Let's see what we got to do with them. And that sucks. Are you kidding me? God dang it. 25-yard return, 24. Good Lord. Beagler. That's their speedster, I think. Alright, so they're running in a shotgun formation, and shotgun 4 wide receiver. That tells me all they've done this year, the entire season, is run 22 plays in this shotgun formation with 4 wide receivers, and they've passed it every single time. And I just got to sit there and think that they're going to come out, and I'm gonna gamble on that. I'm gonna go down base on them. Oh man, and watch them run. This will be the one time they've run all year. Nope, they're passing. Great. All right. And they're going shotgun now, so ultimately I'm looking at run here. I'm gonna use my run package. I'm gonna do my balance mix man. And I know ultimately, I was looking over here on my sheet real quick to try and see. I'll go 3-4 under. Do man under here. Let's see what this. And they're passing again. Wow. Good God. Hatton twice. 9 yards. So they're coming out slinging. They're slinging on me. The run. They got there first. It was kind of expected. It was Samuels. So there's their QB. We got to go. Let's see if I can put some spies on them. See what they're doing here. And he's passing again. Wow. So they've actually thrown 3 out of 4 plays to start out, and they actually, in 6 games, they've ran 3 out of 4 times. They've completely flipped the script. And I'm not going to worry about it too much. I mean, it's still early, but god dang, they're freaking driving in on me. God, they're fucking going at will. Going at will. Let's see what happens here. I think they're going to be throwing this time. And I'm going to go. I don't like that. Let's see what we get here. Oh, option. Good night. Okay. And that was an option play. 2 tight end. They ran a 2 tight end Option right. Wow. All right, that's not pretty. That's not pretty. Let's go through this offensive piece and then maybe one more defensive piece, then I'll kind of jump out. Let's see where we're kind of at on our episode. We're 30 minutes in already. All right, I got to go back to the run. I can't. I'm gonna put my RPO in. I'm gonna do an option play. I'm not doing an no, I want RPO. I'll run an option play. And I'm going to do that out of the 2 tight end. And I'm going to option right. And gives it, well, that was early. That's penalty. That's good. Holding. Chop block. Fantastic. Fantastic. To Lemansky where he caught it 6 yards. It's not good. It's second and 15. It's still doable. That's the first completion I've had of the day. And we're going to go back to the pass. We're going to go balanced. I'm going to go spread. And I want this tight end check down, I think. Yeah, okay, let's see if I get something deep, and if not, I get it checked down. And he's going, God. Oh, my quarterbacks, man. I'm telling you. I just, oh, man. All right. So I'm going to go. On the left side of the field, I'm going to go speed right. Yeah, I just, 3rd and 15, I can't. It's too early, 4th quarter. Anytime I've tried to go down the field, this has burned me. I've thrown picks. It's incomplete the majority of the time. I might complete maybe 1 out of 10, and I'm just not going to throw 15 yards down the field and get anything. With this team, I'm just not. Yeah, this is probably not any. Yeah, Jesus. That's Jesus, Pete. All right, this is going to be ugly. It's looking like it's going to be a little ugly. We'll see. God, I've got to stop them on this one. I've got to be able to do something on defense. No return. I see the default package is running me 3-4 mic down. I like that play a little. I've ran that one. Let's keep that play. Actually, it's a good choice. I think. Got him outside. That's not God. He's wide. He's got all day to run. Look at this crap. This is dang Troy all over again. Fumble. Oh, reminiscent of Arlen at Tennessee, man. Same thing happened to me. Arlen got to the outside, ran 40 yards downfield, and fumbled. Same thing. Samuels goes 27 yards and fumbles. Kenworth gets it. Oh, that's the break I need. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to stay in here. We're going to get one more offensive side and see what I do here. And then I may end up pausing and jumping out. We'll see. But I've got to go run. I've got to go back to I got to go to my roots. I feel like I've I've been away from it, and I gotta go back. It's nothing else is working there. That's golly, okay. I'll take 3. That's okay. And I'm staying with it, but I'm gonna go inside on a shotgun. Let's see, I'm on the right side. I still don't know what they've done to me on the let's go blast. I don't know. I'll try a counter here in a minute. That's that pistol again. That's a first. Alright. There you go, Bedford. 3 for 13. Alright, so 44-yard line. I'm going to set up the RPO. I'm going to run the RPO. We're going to do it out of the Pro Set. And I'm going to do this RPO 1. I've ran this thing several times. It's not been hugely successful. I have had 1 or 2 out of the times I've ran it. I've had 1 or 2 times were really, really good. But I've had about 10 or 12 that's just not been, well, I'll take 5. All right. I'm going to put my pass formation in. I'm going to run out of this one. And I'm going to run on the inside. And go shotgun 4 wide receivers. And let's see if I can do a counter on this and see if I get a bite. Hopefully they're expecting pass. See if they over pursue. See if I get something open up for me. Well, that's a first. All right. I'll take it. Take it. Down to the 33. Something makes me want to pass right here, but I just can't do it. I can't do it with my guys. I just don't have it. I got to go back outside though. I haven't really tested the left yet. Let's do a stretch. I don't want to sweep it. Let's stretch it and see what happens. See if I get anything on this side. Oh, did I call a play? There we go. Oh! Oh! All right. All right. Thought he was stuffed back there for a minute, but 33 yards. All right. Tie game. Okay, now we're cooking. We're going to do, let's kick the extra point. And, oh man, 40 minutes into the episode, so yeah, I think I'll jump out of this after this kickoff. Let's get it down there and kind of see where they're starting from, and then I'll pause this thing and kind of play some of this through, and maybe jump back in here at halftime and do an update, and then we will kind of jump back in and fourth quarter maybe close it out and see if we can kind of do that again. It's probably going to be another long episode. Maybe it'll end up being an hour and a half. But we'll see what happens here, and I'm going to, so they're touchback coming out 25. All right, we'll see you guys at halftime, and I will give an update, see where we stand, and see you back in a few. All right, everybody, we're at halftime, and it is a tie score, 14-14. Been interesting since I left you last, but so I think when we left it was like a 7-7 score, and they ended up driving down and getting a touchdown to make it 14-7, right at the end of the first quarter to kind of close it out. And about halfway in, we ended up getting a score in the second quarter. And, they've had 3 turnovers, or actually 3 fumbles. They've had 2 turnovers. And so I think one of them showed while I was recording. We got that one back. Right after that, I think that's when we ended up driving down and didn't really get a score. So it was before they had their second touchdown, it was still 7-7. Samuels ended up fumbling again, his second fumble. And we got that one back, and it was around midfield, and we were able to drive it down to about the 12-yard line. I had a 4th and 1, and it was 7-7. Instead of taking the points and going 10-7, against my better judgment, but the success I had with Ware on 4th downs, it was 4th and 1. I was running the ball pretty dang decent, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna try and do this. I probably should have waited till the 3rd or 4th. Maybe in that situation, I should have probably done it first quarter. I should have took the points, hindsight, but I didn't. I went for it, and it's the first time that he got stuffed and did not get the first down, and that was really the first 4th and 1 situation that he's had all year long that I kind of put him in and had him run it, and that we didn't get it, so we gave the ball right back to him. And then after that, so we ended up having, we've had a fumble and we lost it. They've had 3 fumbles. They've lost 2 of them. Samuels has fumbled the ball all 3 times. This last time was right towards the end of the second half. They were driving down, and he fumbled on like about a 3rd and 2. I think they picked up the first down and fumbled and got the ball back. Didn't lose it, but they drove all the way down, I think, to about the 22-yard line, I think. Closing seconds, maybe there's less than a minute left in the half, and I was able to force them into a field goal situation. Took a timeout, iced them, and came out, and he ended up missing the 39-yard field goal. So it kept it at 14-14, and that's kind of where we are. So if you look at quarterback comparison, I've got Arlen. He's 9 of 15 for 80 yards. Not too shabby. No interceptions, no sacks. We've had some good situations we've let slip, and he's made a couple decent plays. But all in all, kind of average, just not anything really extraordinary there. On the other hand, Samuels, when they're throwing, they're doing well. They're 9 of 12 for 78 yards. He's got the 1 touchdown. I have got to him twice. And in the second quarter, I've started blitzing a little bit more. And both of those sacks have come on blitzes. And so I think in the 3rd and 4th quarter, I'm going to pick and choose. I'm not going to go blitz crazy, but I'm going to pick and choose when I try and pressure him. And kind of seems to be working a little bit. So maybe I can kind of keep getting some pressure on him in that way. I mean, the thing about it is, man, you blitz in the wrong situation. I mean, you can get torched and burned for a 70-yard touchdown, and I really don't want to do, and that's a game changer. I don't want to do that. So I'm not really a blitz happy guy. I don't do a lot of blitzing. I like to pick and choose when I do, and it seems to be when I get my back against the corner into the wall, kind of like I did the previous game when kind of came down to it, in the half, and I was just like, I just threw my hands up and said I couldn't stop him, and so I'm like, hell with it. I'll just blitz, and I end up getting back-to-back blitzes and sacked them. So I mean, it kind of worked out here too. So I'm again, like I said, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to try and pick and choose, but I may actually try and blitz a little bit more in the 3rd and 4th. All in all, we've not contained the guy. He's ran the ball 12 times for 108 yards, and again, I'd say there's probably at least a third of those rushing attempts that were designed pass plays that he ended up running on. That 29-yard long that he had, I think that was a pass play. I can't remember. I know it got outside. That's the one I recorded. And it's kind of like Arlen in that game against Tennessee, but that's the one he fumbled on. but he's had 108 yards. Beagler's done decent. I mean, he's 30 yards on 8 carries. They've got Poindexter that's come in. He's done pretty well as well. They both had 10+ yard runs. Portis and Edmondson. Edmondson's their receiver, so that was basically a jet sweep, I guess. It probably went out. Hatton, God, it seems like that's the only name I saw in the first quarter catching anything, and he's basically leading them right now with 5 receptions on 6 targets, 57 yards. He's got the touchdown from them. All in all, nobody else has really done much of anything. I mean, they're Knowlton, their tight end, backup tight end, I should add. I think their starter's out. 1 catch for 3 yards. He's been targeted a couple times. All in all, though, 9 of 12. I mean, he's only missed three targets. So, on our side, we've got Bedford. Bedford's done pretty dang well. He's got that 33-yard run for the touchdown. But he's got 80 yards on 13 carries. Lemansky Ware, he's got the other touchdown. So we both had, rushing touchdowns on that. And Ware's long run 17, but he's 6 carries, 36 yards. Arlen, I really haven't ran him a lot. I think I'm gonna try and pick and choose and look and see where I might be able to maybe surprise him a time or two here in the second half with Arlen and his speed. Kind of reserved it a little bit. He's got 11 yards on 3 carries, and Williams, man, he's the one that had the fumble. 2 carries, 12 yards, but golly, he's got butterfingers. I think every fumble I've had that I think this year, I just feel like it's been Williams. So I'm thinking about second half maybe bumping him down and putting Dykes up in there and letting him carry the ball. I can't keep having. I can't turn over the ball. I mean, it's crazy. Time of possession still is working our way, and I will say, but time of possession working our way, even in the first half. We're not in the second half, so we don't have the snaps. But I'm going in and looking at the lineup on the defensive side, and I'm kind of looking at their energy levels, kind of setting it to that 70-80 thing. And they seem a lot fresher. But if you look at our defensive stats, it doesn't appear anybody's taking really the brunt of the snaps and everything. But my leading tacklers right now, I say that, but we're only at halftime, so they're on a pace to really get. I've got 3 guys on a pace to really get 10 tackles, so that's kind of something in and of itself. I've had 3 hurries, really no knockdowns, but I did get the couple sacks. And Jenkins had that sack, and it was unfortunate. On Jenkins' sack was the second sack that we had. And it was on that last drive where they went down and had the field goal attempt. But on his sack, he actually got him behind the line, sacked him. It was a good loss. It was probably a 10-yard loss, but got hit with a face mask. Boom, first down. So it kind of kept it alive, and I could have had him off the field right then. And it was really unfortunate. I've got killed with penalties the first half too, by the way. The first sack that I had was their drive before that in the second quarter, and I ended up blitzing. I called for a blitz, and it was kind of interesting because the blitz I had was coming from the center inside, and it flushed the quarterback outside. They must have called probably a short pass play or something because everybody was up on the line. And Phillips, my corner, was there with him. And he ended up catching Samuels on the outside after we flushed him out and got him behind the line. So he got credited with a sack. It wasn't a cornerback. It wasn't a blitz that I had, but he ended up getting the sack on that one, that was pretty cool. And going down, looking at our penalties, look at this. We've got hit with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 penalties in the first half, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have been 15-yarders. Really, a 6th one The only reason that's a 12-yarder is because it was in the red zone and it couldn't be 15. But 6 of the 8 penalties we've had have been freaking ridiculous. Unnecessary roughness, face mask. I think I've had 2 or 3 unnecessary roughness, 2 or 3 face mask, and it's just drives me crazy. And and again, I think, those are the things you kind of got to look at when you're recruiting your guys and you're building your team. You want guys. I mean, you got to have guys that are smart. You got to have guys that are intelligent. Your unnecessary roughness penalties, I think, for the most part, probably come off of your intelligence rating, because they're just stupid. They're just stupid, dumb mistakes. I'm not really sure where the face mask ones come from. It might be a hands thing, possibly. I'm not really sure, but you got to take those things kind of in consideration. So when you're recruiting guys and and I've done it, I'm guilty of it. I've got a couple of recruits right now that I'm looking at, and one of them in particular I think I'm looking at is like, oh, everything looks great, man, but his hands are an F. That is going to equate into penalties at some point, probably, with what you're seeing. So you got to take the good with the bad. And with me being UAB, I'm not going to get guys that are going to be all A's and B's. So you kind of have to take some of those things, with the good with the bad. But just to kind of drive it home, you get hit with penalties, and a lot of it has to do with ratings and things that you may not be considering or taking into account when you're recruiting guys. Now, granted, I didn't recruit any of these guys. This is just the team I stepped into. But not to say that, when I recruit guys, that the same thing's not going to happen, just based off of what you're looking at and kind of driving to. So with that said, I think ultimately, here the interesting thing is, they're 1 for 6 on third down conversions and 0 for 1 on fourth. We're 0 for 7 on third and 0 for 1 on fourth. So combined, we're basically 1 for 15. Between both of us, both teams, we've converted 1/3 or fourth down, 1 out of 15 this whole entire first half. So, you're getting it down. I mean, the key is you got to get it down to keep your first and second downs, second and second shorts, third and shorts, even if possible. You get into a third and long situation, neither one of us are doing squat. So that's another thing to kind of look at. Again, going into the second half, and the way that I've played up to this point has been really, really bad in the second half. This is the first game that I've kind of adjusted my in and outs on my energy levels for my players. So, maybe we're staying a little fresher. Maybe we can kind of get something going. Be real curious to see how that plays out in this second half. But we have been destroyed almost every game. Even the game we won, like JSU, we were 21-6 at halftime, scored nothing in the second half. Games that we led at halftime, we've been blown out in the second half. We've had a couple of those. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on. I've got to really look at this, and I really need I need time of possession in the second half. I need to keep them off the field, and I need to sustain some good long drives and keep my defense off, and just try and keep things fresh. Pick and choose where I'm blitzing, and keep continuing trying to contain Samuels. I mean, I'm not succeeding very well. He's already over 100 yards. I mean, it's basically deja vu all over again with Winborn. Getting his 200 yards against me there with Troy. But we'll see. So I'm going to pause you. We're going to play into the third quarter or into the fourth quarter at some point. Depending on how the game's going. I mean, if it's interesting or something, I may jump back in, do some finishing play calls, and we'll finish this thing out. But we'll see you back here soon. All right, jumping back in. Didn't really get in sooner because this was pretty freaking ugly. Again, the whole second half just went to hell in a handbasket, just like every second half seems to go for me. But 16 seconds left. We're down 35-24. They beat us 21-10 the second half. Could have been worse. They've had a couple instances where it could have been worse. They have 574 yards to our 379. Just freaking ugly. And I just cannot stop a quarterback of this caliber. I mean, he just freaking beat the shit out of me just like Dan Winbor did. Pardon my French, but just freaking disgusting. So, anyway, let's get this thing over with. See what we got. Close this thing out. We're going to be 2-5, and I don't think I have a time. I don't have a timeout left, so it's not going to really matter. It's not going to matter. Just call the play. Be done. Game over. All right, 35-24 loss. We are now 2-5 in the conference. 1-3, or 2-5 overall. 1-3 in the conference. And let's see what we got. Let's jump in the box score real quick because, you know, we left at halftime. It was 14-14, just like it is every single week. And just like it does every single week, we just got freaking whacked in the second half. 41-yard pass, boom. Got my field goal. Inside the 10. Red zone, couldn't punch it in, of course. Ended up with a field goal. Kept it within reach. Fourth quarter comes around. Dexter gets to run. Jumps it up. We come right back with a drive. I'm staying in it. 3 minutes left. In the game. It's still a game. 28-24. And, of course, we kick it off. Try and play defense. And first or second play from frickin' scrimmage, what happens? 67-yard frickin' run. And pretty much game over. Time of possession was pretty close. I mean, they ended up pulling it off. It was a little bit close. We kicked their ass on the on turnovers. I mean, all 4 fumbles. Every one of those was Samuel's. He fumbled all 4 times. They lost 3. We lost 1. We were +2 on the damn turnovers. Well, they had 4 turnovers because they had an interception. So basically, we were +3. Penalties just kicked the living dog crap out of me this game. Every time I turned around, it was like a freaking 15-yard unnecessary roughness, face mask. Of course, all at the most inopportune time. Everything freaking happened. Rushing attempts, 35. We had 170 yards. They had 358 yards on the ground on 51 carries. 20 of 28 passing. I mean, they could have beat us any freaking way they freaking wanted to. It was a complete freaking joke. Samuel's 150 at quarterback position, 19 carries. Poindexter, of course, 67-yard run, 14 of 131, 16 of 57. I finally pulled Arlen at some point. He was 15 of 27. He wasn't doing horrible, but I just pulled him just to try and get something different happening. Ferguson 6 of 10, 64, got the touchdown, which is something Arlen couldn't do. And Bedford 18 of 9. I abandoned the run game pretty much the whole fourth quarter. So, it was a little bit different, disheartening. Another game where I threw more than I ran for. 37 passing attempts, 35 rushing attempts. Still had 72 plays. which is pretty close to, I mean, what they had. They had like 79. That matches up pretty much with the time of possession. So receiving, of course, receiving. They had two guys. Edmondson and Haddon just kicked the dog crap out of us. Both of them couldn't contain them. Couldn't do crap. McCants ended up with 7 catches, 86 yards. Touchdown. He had that 22-yard pass. So Stafford did pretty decent. All in all, the receivers, can't really complain across the board too much. Ware, again, decent. Like I said, he got stopped on that 4th and 1. First time he's been stopped. We did have another one. We did complete 2 of 3. So Ware was 2 of 3. I mean, he was pretty much involved in all 3 of them. But we were 1 of 14 in third down efficiency. Freaking horrible. Terrible. 574 to 383 total yards. Garbage. 9 punts to their 3. It tells you who controlled the ball. And then you look at our defensive list, man. We are long and strong on the defensive list. Of course we were. We were damn chasing every damn body. I think a lot of that has to do with changing it out. Now, I will say I do like the fact that I did change that because it does feel like it's a little bit better. We didn't get blown out in the second half like we did in previous couple games, but it was still pretty damn ugly. So pretty much come to the consensus that I'm just going to have to suck it up this year. It's just going to be a long, hard year. Honestly, I said 3-9. I'll be lucky to win another game to get to 3-9 with the way that we've looked, especially with the opponents coming up. So I'm just not too sure. Regardless, doesn't really matter. Get my recruits in, kind of try and get this signing class in, and kind of see where we go from here. Penalties were just, oh my God, they were horrible. I mean, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, 7 of the 12 were like 15-yard penalties. I mean, just garbage penalties. Pretty terrible. Missed blocks, really. I mean, didn't really miss any. I missed a couple in the center with Olsen at center. Newton. That was something I was gonna say is I did move my tackles around where I had Newton playing left tackle. I had moved him to the right, and I don't think that really affected me negatively this game. I didn't get sacked. I mean, one time Ferguson didn't really have a problem running, just got taken out of my game plan. So I think I may probably keep it that way, but we'll see. So that was that game. So let's just jump through, and we have the rest of this. So let's go ahead and jump through our top 25. I kind of like to go down to like the bottom and just kind of hit our games. San Diego State's, favored by 18. They're going to basically win but not cover. Boston College and Miami. Let's see, 30-point favorite. Miami wins but doesn't cover. Couple ranked opponents here. Oklahoma State and Missouri. And Oklahoma State pulls the upset on the road. Auburn and Florida. Auburn's favored by 11.5. Florida's 3-4. Auburn's 4-2, and they cover and win big. Arkansas, South Carolina, and South Carolina pulls 5-2, both of them now. Okay. Penn State, Illinois. Penn State's big. They win, don't cover. LSU, Mississippi State. LSU by 16, and they lose. Wow. Okay, there's an upset. UCLA, Pittsburgh. UCLA's ranked 13th at 4-1. Pitt's 5-1. Not ranked, but yet Pitt's ranked are favored by 1 point. And UCLA pulls it off. West Virginia, Old Dominion. West Virginia by 31.5. They win, but not by 31.5. Boise, Colorado State. And Boise's 41-point favorite. Good Lord. And they win by 31, but not quite covering the spread. Wisconsin, they're going to pull it out. Iowa State. Georgia barely beats Mississippi. Wake and Florida State. This should be interesting. And Florida State, okay, kind of expected. Furlong, pretty good. Washington wins big. North Carolina, who is the surprise team of the year, 6-0, ranked number 2, favored by 15.5 on the road to Virginia Tech, and they win by 25. North Carolina, watch out for them. Alabama, Tennessee, the third week of October must be. Yep, sure is. And Alabama, yeah, damn, 7-0. Alabama 7-0. Covered the spread. So, all right, let's look at our Conference USA. We're going to get through these real quick. And Southern Miss wins 3-3. Georgia State's 1-6. Central Florida wins. Central Florida's pretty strong. And SMU. And wow, they lose to Tulane. Good Lord. And they beat me. Hughes had a big game. Wow. Let's see what Bratcher does at running back. He has 27 carries for 121 yards and a 28-0 win against La Tech. All right, let's go ahead and send this week out. We're going to jump through this because I am an hour and 10 minutes in. Let's go ahead and do that and get through this. And let's see where we stand, because I want to jump in through and see maybe some recruiting and stuff like that. But before we get to recruiting, I want to look, maybe at some standings and then go through some leaderboards. And then let's see who maybe we might have hopefully signed, and hopefully we didn't lose anybody, but let's see. All right. Not Team Viewer. Hold on. Bear with me. Dang it. Let's go with standings here. All right. In the ACC, we're sitting, Florida State 6-1 in the Atlantic, and North Carolina is 7-0 in the Coastal, and they're already 5-0 in the conference. So they're looking pretty dang good. North Carolina is really kind of surprising. So looking at them, they beat Auburn the first week of the season. Charlotte, Georgia Tech expected. They beat Florida State, who at the time I think probably was number 1. Turn around and beat a ranked Maryland team. Beat Wake Forest, shut them out. And then won on the road strong at Virginia Tech. So they're going into a bye week, and then going at Illinois in a non-conference game, and then closing out the last 4 in conference. So that's pretty strong. That's a team to watch, man. Number 2 right now. Interesting. Going to the American, Western Kentucky is jumped up there. They're 4-0 in conference. And as is Florida Atlantic, 4-0 in conference. So there's your 2 top runners in the Atlantic. Going to the Big East, Louisville, after losing, I think their first 4 games they lost, they've come back and won 3. They were the projected winners in the Big East. And they still really have an opportunity to do so. They're 3-2, but the problem is West Virginia and Pitt's ahead of them in the South, both at 4-0. So they have 5 games left in conference, and Louisville only has 4. So it's going to really take a miracle for Louisville to even get into the conference championship. So basically, with that said, they're not gonna they're not going to make it to the playoffs. Rutgers 6-0, number 12 in the country. Going to the Big Ten, Ohio State 5-1, Michigan 5-1. Both are undefeated in the conference. And you've got Iowa on the other side behind a strong 6-1 Wisconsin team, but they all have losses in their conference. Big 12, Oklahoma State 4-0 in the conference, and Iowa State 5-0 in the conference. So it's looking like it's starting to narrow down to those two guys, especially Oklahoma State's pretty strong because everybody else is like 2-3, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2. Weak conference win-loss on that side. Conference USA, my conference. Memphis is kind of running away with it on 4-0. Marshall's right behind them, 3-1. Looking what they did to me, it's pretty interesting. So I'm sitting 2-5, 1-3 in conference. Terrible. Houston's 4-0. So basically, Memphis and Houston are kind of sitting pretty strong, and I think Houston is who we have next on the road. Hopefully it's not a freaking dual threat quarterback. God, I'm so sick of seeing those guys. They're kicking my ass. The MAC, pretty standard, nothing major there. Boise State 5-0 in conference. Next team behind them is 3-2, so they're looking pretty good there. Going up against San Diego State, who is ranked, both Boise and San Diego State. Okay. Top 25 for both of those guys. And then you go into the Pac-12, Washington sitting 4-0. Everybody else has losses, so it's still really kind of a toss-up in the Pac. And then going to the SEC, Georgia's 5-1. Next team behind them is 3-2, so they're pacing ahead of everybody else on the East. But then you go to the West and you've got Auburn. Well, Auburn's 5-0 and Bama's 4-0. It looks like it's going to come down between those two guys, maybe. And then you got the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt is kind of still a toss-up either way. Coastal and JMU in the East are both 3-1, and North Texas and Brigham Young are both 4-1 in the West. So that's still kind of out there. Then you kind of go to, let's look at some leaders real quick. Go to some passing player stats and go to passing. Let's look at passing yards. So Matt McKeon for NC State has kind of jumped up there, and he's over 2,000 now. And that Jurovich with San Jose, of course, 20 touchdowns and 3 picks. He's pretty strong there. Great rating. Both of those guys have good ratings. Reed Wasper, Mickey Regis right behind them. If we're looking at touchdown passes, not that really truly matters, but Jurovich has 20 picks. Got a couple guys, Marty Bayless with Northwestern and Greg Mathis have 14. I think Mathis has been sitting there with 14 for a couple weeks, so maybe he's kind of cooled down on throwing to the other team. But and let's go to rushing now. If we go to rushing, we've got Delroy Collins with Auburn jumped right back up. He's leading the country in rushing at 872 and 8 touchdowns. So he's 6 yards average per carry. That's strong. Keenan Bratcher, this guy that I keep watching, he's right behind him at 838, but man, he's carried it 224 times. He's a workhorse. His longest carry of the year is 19. So I said I gotta believe his speed's not too good, but damn, his speed's 98. You would think, and agility 95. That's insane. You'd think he would have had 224 touches. He'd have broke something bigger than that, but I guess not. Anyway, so let's look at fullbacks. Right now, the leading rusher in fullbacks in the country is my guy at 515. He's carried it 70 times, which is considerably more than anybody else that's really carried. I think the next guy behind him is like 47, which is Daryl Gamble, UGA, right behind him too. But he has half the yards too. So Ware, 7 touchdowns. I mean, he's on that short yardage thing. When I get around the 1 or 2 yard line, he's punching it in. Just pretty much no question about it. So hell, if nothing else, maybe I can push hard for him to get his numbers and end up with a guy that was a first team All-American, at a position. Running backs, nothing special there, I don't think. Just like it's always been. I mean, 234 yards, but he's 77 carries for a wide receiver in 7 games. I mean, he's literally touching that 10 times a game, and his longest run's been 11. It's insane to me. I just don't understand the reasoning on them running that much. This Courtney Edmondson with Marshall, that's the team we just played. He's 23 carries for 94 with a 4.1 average as long as 7. He carried, I think, twice against us. And he got I think 4 yards on one and 6 on another, so he got 10 yards on 2 carries. But still, I mean, that's just, I just don't see the fascination or reasoning with running jet sweeps. Not in this game. Tight ends, I think a lot of that's probably coming out of fullback formations. Again, there's really no designed tight end plays there, but quarterbacks, that's the one I kind of want to see. So boom, here we go. So right now, leading the country with quarterback rushing is Kalani Aldrich with Washington. Now has jumped up to 798 yards. Kenny Wilborn, the guy that just torched us, has 755. And then you've got 683, 596, Tavares Samuels, who again, another guy that just torched us with Marshall, sitting with 568. A lot of strong running for quarterbacks right here. It's crazy. So we're 7 games in. Anybody with 500 more, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, possibly not 9 quarterbacks that could end up with 1,000+ yards rushing. In 7 games, Aldrich has ran 125. I mean, that's 18 times a game. That's a lot of running for a quarterback. Let's go to receiving. So basically receiving now. Number of catches. So Jonathan Pierce is Texas State, okay, but you still got Pipkins up there at 53 and Grissel at 47. Those are the 2 guys that's kind of been running the top game. But Jonathan Pierce kind of came out of nowhere at 58. What did he have? 10, 7, and 6. So he's had basically 23 the last 3 games. So he's coming on strong. Yard-wise, Alvin Marchant, who's kind of been the guy there all along. Total catches, though, let's go back to that and let's see where we stand on running backs. And Corey Manning, Sylvester Bryant, he's kind of been there. And fullbacks is Odawanye. He's still leading fullbacks. Terrence Fredericks right there with him. And then we got our guy down here at number with 12. I mean, he's about a third of what's leading the country. Tight ends, Griffin Milner, still the leader. Landon Walker right behind him. They've kind of been there for the 2 tight ends pretty much throughout the season. Nothing's really changed there. And the wide receivers, of course, we know kind of where they are. Jumping into the defense, total tackles. Stedman Bailey for West Virginia's jumped up. He's got 81 tackles. Right behind him is Dontrell Kingsley with Florida Atlantic, sitting at 80. And then the third guy is Randolph Kessler with Louisville with 73. All 3 of those guys are safeties, leading the country in tackles. So well, I don't know. West Virginia's undefeated, so that's kind of interesting. I guess I'd expect their line and linebackers to be doing a little more cleanup work than leaving that with him. But Chris Givens, man, he's picked off a couple more, so he's up to 6 interceptions now with Wake, and going with the sacks. Abraham Carlson with Hawaii's got 7. Got several guys here with 7. Multiple guys at 7. All right. Tackles for loss. Stedman Bailey, man. 81 tackles, 1/4 of them have been behind the line as a strong safety. Wow. Okay. That's impressive. What does his ratings look like? So he's a 90 overall, 81 agility, not extremely strong, not extremely intelligent, good tackler, great speed. Wow, okay. That's pretty impressive. 15 tackles, 9 tackles, 13, 10, 9, 11, 14 against these opponents. And West Virginia's 7-0. So they've won every single one of those games. And he's a 3-star national rank 696 as a 5th-year senior. Damn, good ball player. Okay. Nothing really more too interesting to look out there. So let's jump back through, and we're an hour and 20 minutes into this one. So let's take a real quick look at our recruiting and possibly see where we might stand with maybe some gains and losses, and then kind of go from there and figure it out going into. I think I've actually got, before we jump there, let's look. I think I've got. I'm at Houston, so this is my last road game out of the 3-game road trip that I've got. Houston's 4-3. I'm sure I'm probably going to be a mega underdog there. Yeah, good Lord, 23.5-point underdog. Wow. Looking at their injuries, they've got several guys out. They've got 4 guys that are just completely out and a couple of probables. And then it looks like I've got a new guy in here, Matthias Turner, which that really sucks. And Ferguson's got a bruised hip now. Good Lord. So he's doubtful too. So I got to go with Arlen, I guess, at quarterback. If he doesn't work out, I'm going to have to put Schuler in. And, maybe I give Schuler a chance at redemption here and see what might happen. But Maxwell Neal, my linebacker, is finally back up to a probable with his deep thigh bruise, so he'll probably be ready to play. So I think I should be able to play him. Rushing in the conference, I've dropped to 2nd, so somebody's ahead of me now, and it's probably Marshall. But I'm still 6 overall in the country in rushing, so that's I guess that's something. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I got a bunch of L's right here, so that's, again, moral victories are still losses. All right, so I got Houston. Let's jump in and see what we did recruiting wise. Go to our inbox here and look at our performance. We had guys that, the interesting thing, I don't put a lot of weight in this because sometimes I'll sit there and play a game out like I played, and they'll sit there and say some guy that had 10 touches, oh, he is an A+. And I just don't see it sometimes. So I'm not sure how that really what the definition for how they come up with all of this is really. But and some of these I just simply don't agree with, as well. I mean, I have guys where I sit there and think they just stunk at the high heaven, and they come up and get like a B+ rating, and I'm like, what? So I don't put too much stock in that. That's something I really just don't even too much look at too closely. This is meaningless to me as well because I get all my information out of going through the game planning for the formations and things like that. So it's another email I just don't really even look at. Training report. I look at this one because sometimes you'll sit there and look at a guy and see where maybe he improves. But where this says highlights for this week, he looks like agility. But if I go to Arlen and I look at like his progression and I kind of go to his table and I go to agility, I mean there's no change there. So I week 9 agility results plus, that's great. But it's not enough to even bump him to a 73. So, take that with a grain of salt too, because this is great to sit there and say, oh, okay, these guys are working well in these categories, but it would be better to know if it's something that actually increased their rating versus just, whatever this is. Week 9 recruiting summary, and here we go. I got my quarterback. Mark Penn, 4-star, ranked 220, committed to UAB. Boom! But on the flip side of that, I've got a lot of guys that I've lost, and that really sucks because I see several names on here are guys that I just freaking wanted and they're gone. Guys I had offered and they're gone. So Demetrius Grimes, I did not have an offer to. He was on the board, but I wasn't expending a lot of energy to him. This was my cornerback. He was a guy that I wanted, and he's going to Tech, so I've got to figure that out. Early on, this is one that I offered to, and he had a lot of interest in Louisville and showed it. So I actually pulled a scholarship from him and offered it to another guard. So I'm not too overly concerned with that. Wes Franklin was a guy that I kind of looked at pretty good. Didn't really have an offer to him. Didn't really expend a lot of money on him, I don't think. But he's out of the mix. RC Orlando. So he was kind of my backup. If I lost the free safety I was going after, he was kind of the guy that was there that was kind of next in line to kind of get the offer if I needed to push something out. So I'll have to look somewhere else on a free safety. Jamil Metcalf, the guy, I was afraid of losing this guy. I had the offer out there to him. It's been there since day one. I pushed hard to get this guy. He was a big receiver, 6'4". Really wanted him. Akron offered him pretty early on too, and they ended up winning out. So I've got to really look elsewhere. So now that puts me, because I've got really four receivers I need to sign, and I signed Camp, so I'm down to 3 now. I've only got 2 offers out there for the other 3. Now this drops another offer, so I've really only got 1 other offer out there, and I really kind of need three receivers. So I've got to really look really hard at the receiver position and figure out what I need to do there. Canaris Bells is one that, again, he was on the list. I wasn't pushing really hard, so it's not like a big negative impact to my board. Michael Harvey, kind of the same way, not a big negative impact. Kendall Flowers, so he's a corner, and I didn't have him offered, but I was looking very, very strongly at him if one of the other ones went away. And so now with Malik Baxter having gone away, Flowers is probably one that would have been next in line for me to offer to, but now he's gone. So I've got a little depth issue on cornerback as far as what I'm offering or what I'm going to end up trying to sign there. So I've got to look pretty hard on the cornerback side too. Jordan Marsh, God almighty, that's a guy. He's the strong safety guy I wanted. So I'm really kind of in shambles because Angelo McGriff ended up signing with Colorado State. And I offered him early on too. And he started showing a lot of interest in two Colorado schools. I think it was CSU and Air Force. And I didn't really see much of a chance in signing McGriff, so I ended up kind of pulling back the scholarship offer on him and pushed that to Marsh. Um, and now they've both signed in the same week, so McGriff is gone. There's no chance of getting him. He's at Colorado State. And now Jordan Marsh is gone to Middle Tennessee, so I'm really screwed on the strong safety side. I've got to really look and figure out what I'm going to do there. And Jamaica's Mayfield, good Lord, I had a feeling I was going to lose him, and he's one I recruited since day one, and I've got to look elsewhere there too. So I've got a lot of recruiting work to do. Players so these are three guys that we had on our boards at one time, and they've chosen. So Doolittle is one that recently went off, but he had like 3 scholarship offers, and I knew he was slipping away, as was Cuban. And Denny Dorvis was at Homewood High School, Homewood, Alabama kicker kid out of. I just like Hibbard, a lot more than him and Messigamez. So they're gone now. So basically they're pretty much not just hidden; they're completely off the board. So I gotta update all my stuff and figure out where we stand on some of our recruiting. So that really does kind of blister out our recruiting piece pretty hard now. But I am excited, man. I got Mark Penn. So this guy, so he's B strength, C agility, A plus arm, average intelligence, average accuracy. He's not really fast. In the hands, I don't really care about a quarterback. That's like hell, Ferguson's got 1 hand. You can't get any more F than that. So I'm not too concerned about that. So the only thing that concerns me is he was a B in intelligence, and now he's kind of really dropped down to a C. And that was the one saving thing that I kind of had, and I was sitting there thinking about it. It's like, okay, if I'm wanting to run my RPO, I need a guy that's going to be like, B or better. He's kind of dropped to a C there, but I tell you what, I cannot argue with this A plus arm. That's I just wish the accuracy was a little bit better with it. We'll see how that plays out though. But I got this guy, so he's one that he was probably the biggest long shot, because I kind of had him on my board in the very beginning, and I remember in episode 1 I was sitting there saying, why is this guy on my board? Not really sure. But 100 work ethic and 95 disposition, and then he's a 59 leadership, which is stronger than any leadership quality I've got on my team currently. So I'm pretty excited about that. 220 national rank. That's a 4-star. I got a 4-star at UAB at 2-5. I'm 2-5 and I got a 4-star. That's awesome. Okay. So that's pretty good. I like that. But if I go to my recruiting and kind of go through my board now, it's pretty much going to be in shambles. The funky thing is right now, I still have Orton there. He's just playing along. And I've spent 61 grand on him, and right now my dollar spent on people that are out there that are left. He's up there. And this Lucero, there's just no extended interest in anything that I've just put this kind of effort into. And all these offers that I have here, nothing's just climbing. But Lucero, I've maxed out the home visits. He's had his official visit. He's had 6 home visits. And I've had him on contact and phone every single week. $76,000, and I've got some interest. And this is the guy I want. God, I want these straight B's all the way down. Now he's dropped to a C in speed. That's the first change that I've seen in 7-8 weeks from these scouted attributes. and it's the only one that's went negative. There's still no top schools, and right now, still being the only offer. All of these guys, every single one of them that have an offer is from me and nobody else, and they just have some interest. Crazy. But so I've got a lot of cleanup to do there and figure out where we're going to go. Let's take a look at the interest again. So if I'm looking at that, so I mean, neither one of I don't have any offers. Anybody that is warm, mild, or cool, I don't even have an offer to. There's nothing out there. Every one of my dang offers are all some interest. So we'll have to keep plugging away at that. But I got a quarterback. Didn't need one. I had got 4 quarterbacks. None of them graduating. So I got to figure something out there. If I look at my roster, I mean, I have a feeling I know what I'm gonna probably do, unless one of them kind of decides to transfer, which I don't know if they will, but Arlen's a sophomore. I've got Ferguson and Schuler, who are both freshmen, and then I got Farrell, who's a junior, and I have it really just looking. I mean, honestly, his accuracy is probably better than everybody else's. Maybe he's the one I should be playing. I don't know. But his skill's only a 41 as a junior. I mean, these freshmen and sophomores got more skill than he does. He's probably going to be the one that gets ixnayed if I have to end up dropping one. But if I do that, I mean, you always take a kind of hit on that, and I take that not very lightly at all, because I think you get such a big hit if you damn cut people. Don't want to really do that, but honestly, if it comes down to that and nothing else really happens, because I know next year he'll be a senior, so if I'm able to get around that and he's a senior, then he kind of goes away the next year and it's a scholarship coming back without a negative impact. But if I have to, I think going into it, I could probably release Farrell and bring this New York kid in, Penn, and kind of have Arlen, Penn, Ferguson, and Schuler next year. But if one of these other guys transfer, then it's kind of a moot point. So I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But yeah, there's several things to really just kind of look at here that I've just kind of got to work through. So probably what I'll do, I know this is a really, really long episode, and I'm probably just going to have to break these things down. If I'm going to cover a game, I just need to cover a game in an episode, and then kind of cover these other aspects and maybe a secondary episode for the week. I'll still work through that and kind of see what I need to do, but I'll go ahead and close this thing out and get this one posted up, and we'll live to see another day, and hopefully we can kind of right this ship a little bit. I mean, again, like I said, expectations were kind of around a 3-9. When I lost those first 2, then turned around and won those next 2, and I was sitting 2-2. I was sitting there thinking, maybe I can be 5-7. Maybe I can be 6-6. Maybe I can look at a bowl game. That's not really looking too good now. So I've got Houston, Tulane, Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech. So Middle Tennessee and Louisiana Tech could be the only 2 that I even have a chance with that are left. And if that's the case, and say even if I won both of those, I'm sitting 4-8, no bowl. So we just kind of have to figure this thing out, get our recruits, get in here and play for next year, figure out what we're going to do from that. So, but anyway, we'll close this one out, and appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoy it, just give me a thumbs up. Any suggestions, feel free to post them in the chat. Any questions, anything you think I could do better, anything you want me to show, just give me a shout, and we'll talk to you on the next episode. Thanks.